Good evening. This is a really important message to people that don't already know about this. I was watching a video by someone today and she was talking about the children, which of course as a mother and a human being, they are the reason we're fighting, right? And she was talking about the fact that the HPV vax has been pushed in schools for children from 12 and above, and how they get sent home with a slip, sort of asking for permission for the parents. And it was a very woolly worded situation, and it reminded me of something that's critically important right now, with the fact that the government is pushing, they are going to do this experimental gene therapy on children over 12 from September on their return to school. For anyone that isn't aware, go and look. This is something called Gillick competency. If you don't know what that is, this is where they get around parental consent. They do not need your parental consent to administer medical treatment to children through this little clause. Traditionally, it's used for things like if a child under the age of 16 wants birth control but don't want to tell their parents, they can prescribe them birth control. This is sort of the narrative, without informing the parents. Okay. Now, I cannot find an age on there, as in a lower age that they are claiming, but I have heard, don't hold me to it, but I have heard they will accept it from as young as 7. Now, on the Wikipedia, on the NSPCC website, this is what they say about Gillick competency, okay? Children under 16 are able to consent to their own medical treatment without the need for parental permission or knowledge. I'm going to repeat that because that is really important. Children under the age of 16 are able to consent to their own medical treatment without the need for parental permission or knowledge. They do not even need to tell you that they've had it. They are being told repeatedly that they need to wear masks, that they are dangerous, right? That they're walking dangerous, virus-laden criminals if they don't wear masks, for God's sake, right? The lies that they're being told and their impressionable little brains might take in is next level. So on top of that level of propaganda, they're going to have people going into those schools and offering this treatment, right? They do not need your permission. They don't need it from a medical standpoint, and they don't need it from a legal standpoint. From what I can understand, through the work that I've been doing around law and the research that I've been doing, because of the straw man legal fiction corporation, and bear with me because this is a bit out there, I know, but it's also true, with the creation of the birth certificate, you are a parent, you do not have rights. There was recently over your child. The child is a government award of the state through their birth certificate. They do not need your permission that way either. That's why social services can take your children away as long as they have the birth certificate without facing kidnapping charges, because they are a ward of the state. They're not really. The physical child obviously isn't. However, because of the lie that they tell you about the birth certificate and the fact that we never question this, they, in effect, have control of the child. And you do not. You are a rental unit to raise that child, right? Parent. You are legally on iffy ground, so they actually don't need your permission. There was a recent case with the teacher saying, we own your child, we don't need your consent. I can't remember where it was from, and she is actually correct. If you've registered the birth, they have a birth certificate, and then you've registered that child at school, that is where, according to the government, that is where the ownership is retained. If you don't know about any of that, and that's a very, not a very concise or clear description of it, which I appreciate, but go and do some research because you will find out that I'm right. Go and look at Gillick competency, because this is how they're going to get around it. They are pressurising our children to take this, and then they will say that they have the competency to accept their own choices and have medical treatment without your, as a parent's, permission or knowledge. This is critical to understand. It's also worth looking at, and this is why I've said it before in my previous videos, at the legal fiction straw man absolute scam, so that you can extract yourself and your child and protect them from this madness. There are ways to do it, but awareness is the first and most important key to doing it. You have to know what the hell you're up against, right? In order to extricate yourself from it. So go and look at that. And I hope I haven't lost people, because I know it sounds mental. But just because it's mental doesn't mean it's true. Please go and look at that. Gillick competency, super important. Go and check that out. That is absolutely how they're going to get around this. It is so important to protect the children. And go and look into the birth certificate swindle. That means that they have ownership over your child, and how to protect yourself and your child from that absolute lunacy. So please go and look into that to protect the children. It's all about the children. We'll take off the masks, educate your children as well. This is another really good point. I have seen this play out in a number of different ways. I have friends who have sent their children back to school with the full backing, with the full knowledge, with the full understanding of them around mask issues. They have emailed and, sent links and numerous emails to the school explaining that their child will not be wearing a mask, don't need to wear a mask, this is why not, these are all the studies, blah, 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 blah. And that child has gone in there fully backed up, okay? And they said when that child came home, I think they're 10, how was it? How was the first day back? At the beginning of that day, there were 2 children without masks on in that class, and everyone else had them. By the middle of the afternoon, it was roughly 50-50, and by the end of the day, 2 children had masks on, and no one else did. That is a child who knows how to stand up for themselves, that knows they have the full support and backing of their family, and they feel confident and courageous, and they can back up and fight for their rights. I also know people who didn't take those precautions, who didn't come at the school with the full force. Now, I appreciate it's going to depend slightly on school to school and who you're dealing with and how hard they're going to fight. But they did not hold the people at the school personally liable in a legal form, which you can do, for any damages caused or distress caused for their child. They did not arm their children with the knowledge and understanding, and so that the children didn't go in feeling completely surrounded by, the spiritual armour of the parents. And they caved to the pressure, and they're like, well, all my friends are doing it, so I want to do it too, right? Now, obviously, individuals differ, okay? But this is what we need to be doing. This is what we need to be doing for our children. So it's all about the knowledge. It's all about the learning about stuff. But watch out for this. This is Gillick competency, and that is how they're going to get around it. And that's how they're going to give these children these experimental gene therapies. And we have to make sure that they don't. Okay, good night.